Just like you use variables in any programming language, you can use variables in LittleHorse too. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can define variables and manipulate variables in LittleHorse. LittleHorse variables are very helpful. You can define and store the current states of your workflow and make sure data is retained between tasks. For example, you may have a workflow of order management. There are multiple backend services. You can define a variable to update your order status while it's going through different stages. You can use another variable to store the payment status of the order. And this variable can then be used to determine whether the order should proceed to the next task. If the status shows it's paid, then LittleHorse can move the order to the processing step. You can even search your workflows, query customer data, export it from LittleHorse to your analytics tools, and from there you can gain insights of your customers and your products. By using LittleHorse variables, you're able to define very complex workflows. And you can make sure that data get passed to different tasks and make sure your applications and services orchestrate correctly in the right sequence. Let's take a look how it works in LittleHorse. We're going to write a workflow with 3 tasks. We keep it simple and primarily focus on the concepts of LittleHorse variables, which you can then apply to your own services or applications in real life. Here are my 3 tasks. Input a name, capitalize the name, and assign a random number. I purposely separate them into different Java classes and different methods because I want to show you how you can onboard different tasks in LittleHorse. It's very easy. You just add LHTask method as an annotation to each Java method. So here we add LHTask method and give a name greet. I'm telling LittleHorse if later you see a greet task in the LittleHorse task queue, come back here and run this method. For the second task, we add LHTask method with the name title name. We're telling LittleHorse if you see the title name task in the LittleHorse task queue, come here to execute this method. Now we want to add the third task to LittleHorse from a different Java class. We do the same thing, add an annotation, LHTask method with a name to tell LittleHorse to execute the window number when you see the task WinNum. And these 3 names are LittleHorse variables. They will be registered in LittleHorse. They can be searched in LittleHorse. Now we have 3 tasks. Let's move to the workflow specification. The order is to run the greet task, followed by the title name task, and finally the window number task. So we write them in sequence in the workflow spec. Just like how you write in a programming language, we're going to create variables too. There are 2 different levels of variables. Variables at the programming language level. In this case, we're writing in Java, so Java variables. This type of variables is only declared at the Java level and will not be saved in the LittleHorse server. The second type is LittleHorse variable, which can be saved and searched from the LittleHorse server. We're creating a variable in LittleHorse now, input name. We define this variable using the method declare string and make it searchable. In order to use this input name variable in this workflow specification, you will need to have a Java variable to do that. So here we also have a Java variable, the name, for you to refer or manipulate the LittleHorse variable input name. So the name is not a LittleHorse variable, it is only defined at this Java level. So it doesn't get stored in the LittleHorse server, meaning you cannot find the name from the LittleHorse server. However, input name is stored in the LittleHorse engine. So if we go to the dashboard, you will find a variable input name. You will not find the name because the name is not stored in the LittleHorse engine. The name only refers to input name in this Java code. And if you want to pass this LittleHorse variable as an argument to your tasks, you need to do that with a variable in your Java code. In this case, the name. Now, because they both are variables, you can change the value of the name. You can also change the value of your LittleHorse variable input name by changing this Java variable, the name. All right? We use the variable as an input argument to your task. Here, we pass the name to the greet task as an argument. Remember, that's our first task greet. We also define a variable and save the output from a task. So I'm defining a LittleHorse variable format name to store the output from the second task. Make it searchable. I'm also adding a Java variable format name. I'm going to execute the second task title name and assign the output to a Java variable, and then use it to update the format name. Both variables here are Java variables, and updating this format name, we're updating the LittleHorse variable format name as well. We could run the task winNum, window number, and pass this format name variable as an argument. All right, my friends, we have the workflow specification ready. Let's go to the main function. This app.java contains the main function, which is the entry point of our application. Here, we set up and register task workers for our tasks. We're creating instances of the greet and window number classes. And then we create a new LH task worker instances for our greet, title name, and winNum, window number tasks. We add a shutdown hook to close all the task workers when the JVM shuts down. And then we register the task definitions. We start the task workers to handle our 3 tasks. We also register the workflow specification in LittleHorse. All right, everything looks good to me. In this terminal, we can start our workflow with a customer's name, David. We could also run it with another name, Jacob. In the LittleHorse dashboard, we can find the workflow, and there are 2 different workflow runs with 2 different IDs. They're both completed. One is for customer David, and the other one is for customer Jacob. We can also search these 2 customers. These are the 2 variables we defined in the workflow specification and registered in LittleHorse. I'm searching with a format name David. You could find the workflow run for customer David. You can check what tasks this workflow run executed and its input variables. You can find the status and output of this task. It also shows you the variables we have defined in the workflow spec. You see, these are LittleHorse variables. You cannot find the Java variables because they are not saved in the LittleHorse engine. There are different types of variables and mutations in LittleHorse. We're using a string and update that string here. We can also declare an integer. For example, we can define an integer and save the output of the window number, which is a random number generated from this task. We're going to save that as an integer in LittleHorse. If we update this workflow specification and run a couple jobs, and this time with a customer James and a customer Mike. In the dashboard, you can see a new version of the workflow spec is generated. And under this new version, there are 2 different workflow runs. One is for customer James, and the other one is for customer Mike. You can also find the new variable we just added, window number, as an integer. Now there are 3 variables, and we can search all these variables too. Alright, I hope you find this video helpful. We learned LittleHorse variables, how you can define and mutate variables in LittleHorse. Make sure to check our documentation and GitHub for more information. Thanks for watching.